2016 marked the 20th anniversary for the Resident Evil series, while early 2017 marked a fresh start of sorts, ditching the behind-the-shoulder third-person gameplay for a first-person survival horror experience instead. Something that I find fascinating as, if you didn't know, the Resident Evil series almost started out in first person, so to see them implement that into the newest title is really cool as someone who reads about unused aspects of video games as a hobby. But in celebration of this drastic shift in gameplay, however, now seemed like the perfect opportunity to take a look at the last time Capcom revamped Resident Evil, with Resident Evil 4. A game that's easily my favorite title in the entire series, and one of Capcom's most re-released games of all time, so expect a version for the Switch sometime in the near future. The game just did a great job of blending survival horror elements with more of an action-centric gameplay style that it pulled off pretty damn well, all things considered. At least more so than RE5, which went heavy on the action, and RE6, which was kind of a fan service clusterfuck that I'd be lying if I didn't say I loved a little bit. But with those aside, today on Gaming Mysteries, we'll be taking another look at the beta of Resident Evil 4, because my last video of this is years old and sucks. Now, the first glimmer of a Resident Evil 4 came in 1999, where existence of said title was first hinted at. Directed by Hideki Kamiya and produced by Shinji Mikami, the game was set to be the first Resident Evil game for the, at the time, up-and-coming PlayStation 2. What led from here was a lengthy development hell of sorts, that produced at least 4 versions of Resident Evil 4 that were built up and then scrapped. Development allegedly started somewhere in 1998, with the game being cancelled that same year in order for them to move the title over to the PlayStation 2 instead. In 2000, Noboru Sugimura created a scenario for the game based on an idea that Kamiya had, which was to make a cool and stylish action game. The story would be based around the mystery surrounding the body of protagonist Tony, an alleged invincible man with skills and intellect exceeding that of normal humans, with his superhuman abilities explained through biotechnology. A change from the standard Resident Evil formula that was made early on would be getting rid of the fixed camera angles, as Kamiya felt the playable character didn't look brave and heroic enough in battles from a fixed angle, leading them to opt for a dynamic camera system instead. The team worked hard on focusing on the use of action alongside the horror themes, though the developers also wanted to make the coolness theme fit into the world of Resident Evil. This direction of the project was seen by other members of the team at Studio 4 as being a radical departure from traditional Resident Evil concepts of survival horror. Mikami himself felt the game strayed far too much from the series' roots, and gradually convinced all the staff members to not cancel the game, but separate it and make it its own title, independent from the Resident Evil franchise. After conversations between Kamiya and Mikami, it was decided that the game would continue development, but as a separate franchise, with Kamiya rewriting the story to be set in a world full of demons, and changing the main character's name to Dante. The cast of characters remained largely identical to the scenario that Sugimura put forth, although the hero's mother and father, who were originally to play a role in the game's Resident Evil days, were written out of the story, with the game gaining its new title of Devil May Cry, which would see a release for the PlayStation 2 in 2001. The stylish gameplay aspects from the Resident Evil period were carried over into Devil May Cry, but ramped up, some examples being a lot of heavy gunplay and of course the addition of a sword. And the game would even end up carrying over some enemies from its Resident Evil days. From here, Resident Evil 4 would begin development anew, entering its next stage of development. While Stage 1 ended up with the game turning into Devil May Cry, Stage 2, called the Castle Stage, as well as the Fog or Mist version, was officially announced in 2002 as a part of the disaster known as the Capcom 5, an agreement where Capcom would develop and release 5 games exclusively for the Nintendo GameCube. An exclusive agreement that worked out horribly, with only 3 of the games, Resident Evil 4, Beautiful Joe, and Killer 7, actually being completed and released, and even then not remaining GameCube exclusives, while the other 2 titles, one of those being Dead Phoenix, which was cancelled, and the other, PN03, which was mediocre at best and ended up being the only GameCube exclusive of the bunch. Moving back to Resident Evil though, this Fog version of the game would star Leon S. Kennedy infiltrating a European castle that belonged to one of the founding members of the Umbrella Corporation, with help of a large assault team. However, this assault team would be interrupted by Wesker's own force of soldiers, who would unleash a new bacteria-sized virus into the fight. The battle would leave both forces dead, with Leon making an escape, although unfortunately being infected by Wesker's new virus. Over the course of the game, Leon was to discover the origins of the virus, and the game was to feature a side plot featuring a female character who presumably lived in the castle, awoke, and then would accompany Leon throughout his journey, along with her doggy. The castle was to keep with Kamiya's original ideas for a more stylish game and not make use of pre-rendered backgrounds and use 3D ones instead. Unfortunately, this version of the game would end up running into some technical issues during its development. An often cited example was use of an enemy simply known as the Black Fog, which was said to be impossible to properly animate using the technology that they had to work with at the time. And it was eventually decided that this scenario would be tossed aside, allowing the team to start from scratch yet again. Although allegedly not all elements from this build were scrapped, as there was some interest in creating a horror game starring a female protagonist, which led them to remove Leon from the story altogether and have it focus on the new female character, Fiona, and her dog, Huey, in the highly underrated title Haunting Ground. This led to the development of the well-known Hallucination or Hookman version of the game. Little is known regarding the plot of this build, and some speculate that this version of the game was just a means to test out some new ideas while making use of assets from previously scrapped versions of Resident Evil 4. That said, this version of the game would yet again feature Leon S. Kennedy, yet again infected, and go in a Silent Hill-esque direction, with Leon doing battle with the supernatural, such as creepy little dolls, haunted sets of armor, and of course, Hookman, a character who, while fascinating, evidently had no real backstory. To quote, "Hookman was merely an experiment, and there was no true backstory. I wanted to make Biohazard 4 scarier and suggested using a particular scene from the film The Lost Souls, where the main character, while washing her hands in a bathroom, suddenly finds herself in a derelict building with a killer on the loose." An arranged version of this idea eventually turned into Hookman, as the mostly finalized version of Leon S. Kennedy explored the spooky castle. The game would occasionally feature a bluish tint. During this period is when Leon would be doing battle with the supernatural, such as the dolls and of course Hookman. Now, while this certainly looked like a promising version of the game, technical issues ultimately killed the Hookman build. To quote again, "You are not supposed to know when Leon's hallucinations would happen. Various hidden checkpoints would trigger Leon's fear into hallucination. Depending on the player's behavior, the structure of the stage changed, so we had to create two types of 3D models. That doubles the amount of cost it comes to design and rendering. Even if we did have the budget, it was almost impossible to cram all that into the GameCube's memory. We couldn't even add any monsters, and thus Hookman ended up scrapped." After this, the team decided to go back to their roots, keeping the castle and infected Leon, but allegedly adding zombies back into the game. Little is known about this zombie version of the title, other than its producer Shinji Mikami was highly critical of it being a boring experience with established fans with the repetition of running around a dark castle shooting zombies yet again. It was around this time when some public statements from Mikami more or less said that he was tired of making traditional survival horror games, with him having the mindset that the pure survival horror style game was going extinct. And with pressure from Capcom threatening to cancel the series completely if they didn't crank out a hit that sold millions, Mikami told his team that their primary objective for Resident Evil 4 was to make it fun for the player, with horror elements being present, but less essential. This led to Mikami pushing the game to be a full-on over-the-shoulder style game always, instead of just during combat like in earlier builds of the game, eventually resulting in the game that we hold dearly now, finalized Resident Evil 4, now available on far too many platforms. Though we're not quite done, as some minor differences between the final release and some pre-release versions include the ability to use a silencer on both the handgun and TMP, a different merchant menu, you could contact Hunnigan anytime you wanted to, the voices for some of the enemies were different, as was Sadler's voice, the item pickup noise was different, there's this picture of a lady present in the game that's presumed to be a placeholder or something. We have an unused item of some kind, as well as two interesting renders, one of Ashley in different clothing, and Jill Valentine in Ada Wong's dress. But that's more or less it for the beta of Resident Evil 4. While looking back at some of these earlier builds, such as the Hookman version, it is a shame that we didn't get to play this, even if there is a fan who made their own version of it, but that doesn't really count. But had that actually come to fruition, the real one that was being made by Capcom, the entire series could have been completely different. It also could have fallen by the wayside and become a forgotten relic and be cancelled along with Mega Man. So in that regard, I suppose at the end of the day, it's for the best that we got the version of RE4 that we ended up getting, as it's truly an incredible experience, and very well may be the main reason we're still seeing Resident Evil games come out to this day. And for that, I'm thankful. But this has been Gaming Mysteries. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to End Slate, where you just watched the Gaming Mysteries Redux on the beta of Resident Evil 4, which I'm positive is better than my original version of this video. If you want to go look that up and compare them, feel free to do so. But I hope you enjoyed it. And welcome to End Slate, where I end Slate. Also, End Slate might be changing in the future, because I guess they're getting rid of the regular annotation system on May 2nd. So I'm going to have to start using cards. But End Slate will not die. Let me just make that clear to everyone. It'll continue forever and ever and ever. With that in mind, welcome to End Slate. The first thing I'd like to do on End Slate is recommend the last video I did on this channel, which was yesterday, and that was a new bullshit creepypasta story time on Possessed Pokemon Blue, aka authors can't listen to basic instructions. It's sad. There will also be 2 other videos you can click on if you so desire to watch those videos. And of course, if you like the video and you want to like or share or subscribe or hit the bell, that's all greatly appreciated because it helps. But I don't force that on people. But thank you. If you look to the bottom of the screen, Nico has social media, and also Nico does the art, in case I haven't said that enough times already. It's still true, though. I also have social media, such as the Twitters and the Facebook, and I'm on Twitch sometimes. And I also have a Patreon, where if you want to help me be able to make content more consistently, go check that out. For the people who have already checked that out, I love you all, and I'm about to thank you using the only method I know how, which is thanking you with words. And so much love and thanks go out to Ben Shaw, Darth Penguin, Nikki Batelli, Brandon made a second account so I can safely make joke names as much as I want, is what I still assume that says, Harley Crawley, Leia Ba 547, Brian, He Ho, Grace, Brendan Wilbanks, JJ Rutin, Shulks Minato, sorry. I'm really feeling it. Abdul Kareem Torres, Nikki Lehman, Sally from 3 Ice Cube Show, D-Man's Land, Jacob Sifford, Ryan Macklin, Paul Walker, Tio Santore, Joseph Puello, Boltron, Skyward Keyblade, Joseph Constantine, Nolan, Christina Coleman, Doc Drazen, Andrew Arana, Aaron Brewington, David Freesley, Fernando Silva, Rodrigo Derez, Beautiful Yoshi, Steven Sefrance, Zet the Legendary Hero, The Wheels on the Bus Go Die, Erlen Mattis Rees, Wade Lamario, I almost said tomato, I'm sorry, Ayo Breezy, I got it right that time, Richard Laheef, Greg Wool, Vicious Phantom, Mr. Bowler, Robert, Brandon McKinnon. I almost said Brandon. I'm a little far away from the screen. My eyesight's shitty. I'm sorry. Mitchell Janda, Sergio, Diego Martinez, Kazam. Well, Kazam's still a pretty good name. McGamers, Mio Kuroshima, Jaysteria, Matt Jonas, Rory O'Carroll, Matt Metsi Makers, Kenpachi Ramasama, Lon Lon Rancher 86, Anthony Mang, Squiggly Kip, Crow Feathers, Fat D, Alex Rowley, Kelsey Lowensbury, Eric Camacho, Jonathan Klaus, Shay Montgomery, Joseph Hitsky, Ryan Cole, Jacob Epler, Fantastic Hairman Desu, I still like that, River Casey, Joel Guzman, and of course thank you to everyone else who's supporting me through Patreon. This is essentially a Patreon supported thing at this point. But thank you all very much. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I have more videos coming soon that I'm working on with videos, and I hope you enjoy those as well. So next time on End Slate, it might be a mega End Slate, which people on the Patreon know what that might mean. You don't yet, but you will. It's gonna be scary stuff. But this is going on for 5 minutes. Someone's gonna yell at me in the comments again. So I'll see you guys next time on End Slate.